Cleopatra is another one of my personal favorite exercises that really is working similarly to mermaid. We've got some hip mobility and just some overall trunk mobility, but we also get a really lovely kind of neck and collarbone stretch moment that can be really helpful for people because we tend to be relatively tight in here. And again, we're working on that sense of shoulder stability with this exercise as well. Springs for Cleopatra are going to be similar to mermaid. So usually one spring, blue or red, is perfect and appropriate. So Cleopatra, we start with both legs tucked up towards the shoulder blocks. So instead of being in a full Z sit, we've got both legs kind of tucked underneath you, sitting relatively upright with the hips and chest facing forward. We bring one arm to the foot bar again, and then we bring our other arm down to the carriage in front of the hip, so towards the front corner. For some people with shorter arms, it may be nice to have a block or a prop here to sit the hand on. So we start sitting up nice and tall, shoulders leveled out, and we're going to press the carriage out, lengthening our bodies out to the side to create this nice, lovely diagonal moment. So this one's not a side bend right here like mermaid, but instead a nice diagonal. So we've got head, nose, chest, and pubic bone all in a nice line, shoulder out of the ear. Then as we come up, we want to think of pressing the hand forward and down into the mat as you look up and over your right shoulder back at your feet, keeping that left shoulder dropped out of your ears. And then from here, we press back out, lengthening out long, like your ear is listening to your shoulder. And then we lift up, growing tall to side bend, back and over to look down at our feet. I'm also on typically one spring for mermaid. You could be on a blue or red. Most of the time we're not going a lot heavier or lighter than that unless you have a reason to. So in our Z-sit position, we place one hand on the foot bar, and you want that hand a little bit in front of the shoulder. If it starts to come behind the shoulder frequently, it'll twist the chest open. So just right towards the front of the foot bar. Other arm comes up long with a soft bend in the elbow, shoulders dropped out of the ears. From here, we want to push out through the shoulder as we dive up and over an imaginary beach ball to side bend to the side, fanning the top ribs open towards the ceiling, and then stack back up nice and tall. And again, we lean over to the side, and we come back up. And usually we want to move in and out of that about 3 times. And then on the third one, you can just pause and breathe, really cueing people to breathe into the top ribs, getting this nice stretch. We're grounding the back hip down and into the mat. And then we can start to add our rotation. So from there, we rotate to bring both hands to the foot bar and walk the other hand out wide so they're both equally weighted. If needed, you can cue people here to kind of rotate through the hips a bit to give them some more rotation through the trunk. Once here, we can press out, lengthening the spine nice and long, and then lift up. I always call this a mermaid on a rock moment. It feels like Ariel pushing up out of the water. So we lead with our chest. You get a little back bend, nice, lovely stretch here. And then push back out, still keeping those shoulders in a strong, stable position and out of the ears as we lift up. And then we can also hold this stretch here and start to pull the pelvis underneath us, pulling the ribs up towards the ceiling into a flexion, and then lengthening back out. Scooping through the belly, and then lengthen back out. And then from there, we can pull ourselves back up and in, open back to the front, and then take a little counter stretch back to the back. Some common problems with Cleopatra is, number one, is we see people start here with the shoulder already hiked up, and then they push out and the shoulder is still hiked up, and then they lean back and the shoulder is still hiked up. So really cueing that shoulder dropping. Again, that's why this one is sneaky, where we are really working a lot of scapular stability here and shoulder stability on this side. We want to make sure that we're cueing that as well. And even though this is a lovely stretch, that we're making sure we're getting that stabilization through the shoulder as well. And then as we lift back up here, making sure, again, shoulders out of the ear, we get that slight chin twist back towards the back, which is really going to open up through the side of the neck and the collarbones and chest.